views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail. Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, my gosh. I am so excited about today's show. Dr. Glenna Rice, Kass Thomas joining us here today on the show. This is probably, for me, I have never done a show in 14 years. That's like 9,000 interviews for all the math people out there, right? On why ask a question. And I do this for a living, right? But thanks to Glenna and Kass and the amazing work they're doing, we're going to talk about what the value of this is. Before we jump into it, many of you know Glenna. You know her because she's been a regular on this show for years. Beyond being brilliant at what she does, she is out there helping people understand that innate potentiality they have in the world and the world of possibilities. She also works to help people understand what? I'm a parent now? That's not a parent. That's not a parent. That's all of the above. You're a parent and you're a parent. Why? Because many of us get thrown into a role we know absolutely zero about, except the way that our parents treated us. So she works with parents, she works with children, and she works with people that are that or not in the world. She helps them. She is also physical therapist, owner of Access Physical Therapy, but a phenomenal access consciousness facilitator. She's joined today by Kass Thomas, who was on the show with us last time, best-selling author, international coach, access consciousness certified facilitator, aficionado of the sport of ping pong, better known as table tennis or vice versa, joining us here today. And we're going to be asking the question, why ask a question? Welcome to both of you. Great to have you.
Oh, thanks, Dr. Pat. Wonderful introduction. Yeah. Why ask the question? I'm glad you like the topic.
I love the topic.
A few days ago. Yeah.
Yeah. I love the topic because you must have been eavesdropping on a call or several of the calls that I've had this week about a project that's near and dear to my heart, where if I would have remembered that asking the question might get us to where we wanted to go, I would have done that. Instead, we opted to talk over each other, not listen to each other, and pretty much at the end of the day, not give the client what this client really needed. How's that for a start, Glenna?
Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. One thing about asking questions is it changes something. It changes something that's not working. It opens up. These are questions that are not like we'd had in school, like what's the answer? You know, what's 2 + 2? It's questions that you ask that are open-ended, that you're not looking for answers. You're looking for awareness, for possibilities, for what information is out there that could change something. You're not looking for what we call necessarily an answer. It's totally different. Yeah. And that can change, meetings that aren't going well. Like just the question that you love so much is what else is possible?
Exactly. Exactly. Well, and that question for me is my go-to question. The other part of that question for me, Kass, Glenna, is that is also, it has become a spiritual question for me. And what do I mean by that? Some people might say all questions are spiritual if we're waiting on the other end for something other than a solution or something other than the problem solving. But it's become a spiritual question. And what do I mean by that? And I'd love to hear what both of you think about this. What it means is when I ask that question, I'm asking for a new level of something. Insight, I like to call them, awareness, and then not then self-correct, even when I hear something that I don't necessarily want to hear. But what do you think about this idea of a question opening a spiritual, or let's just call it intuitive, insightful portal?
Intuitive, insightful portal. I love that. The IIP.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love that. Why ask a question? And a lot of people would think, oh, well, of course you ask a question to get an answer. And so it's quite radical that you are not looking for an answer when you ask a question. You're looking for other questions, right? And I ask one of my favorite questions is, what question can I ask here that would give me more clarity? I always ask that. So people are always saying with Access, what's the right question? There is no right question. The only question that's right is what is the one in that moment that'll give you more possibilities, more clarity, and more questions, right? There's this sort of it's almost chemical, what a question does. It begins this, we call it DMMD, which is demolecular manifestation and molecular demanifestation, but it actually begins to eat away at the solidity of a situation. Like in a petri dish, which is a sterile environment, no movement, no change. And you drop this foreign object in. That's what a question is. It's a foreign object that begins a slow disintegration of the no movement, stability, rock, density, that allows more space, more possibilities, change to occur. I don't even know if I answered your question, but that's what came from me.
I like that, Kass. That's good.
I do too.
And what was it Pat called it? Something... portal. Intuitive.
Insightful intuitive portal. I like that. It's an IIP. Yeah,
awesome. So you had asked about it being spiritual, and I am probably one of the most unspiritual people, especially like my whole life. I'm not very spiritual. Never was a churchgoer. Never had delved into much of that. I guess Access has that quality to it, but it's more this like connection or communion or awareness you have of everything, the energies of everything around you, which a lot of people, I suppose, would say that is spiritual. But it's not that you're ever separate. And a lot of times spirituality for me seems that like that's something outside of you that you're always trying to get in you or to be part of, that you're not really part of it. So this is like we are, infinite beings on this planet who have a communion and an awareness, a way to access the information and energies of everything around us. And a question is one of the ways we can access that. When you start asking a question like, what would it take for this to change? Pretty simple question. And then everything around you, the entire universe, the energies of everything can start contributing to showing you what that is if you don't have a point of view, if you're not looking for a fixed answer or a solution. It's just like, what would it take for something to change? And, it could be that you're just walking by someone on the sidewalk and they say something. Like the universe gets you on the sidewalk. It's like if you follow the energy, everything will lead you to the where you have to be, how you have to be, when you have to be to start getting the information to see whatever this is you want to change. Someone could say something, you can have something come up in your head. You could just walk into a certain place. You can, go on the internet and you search for something and something strange pops up and you click on it. It's so many different ways. And, is that spiritual? That very well may be spiritual for people. that answers more of the question. I think we're looking for answers here.
You know, I think for me, Glenna, since you've been doing this show, since we've been talking about not just asking questions, but talking about ways that we can show up and change, ways that we could be that align with the ways that we actually want to be. And it really has brought a whole new perspective to the degree by which, at least for me, I can empower myself is directly related to the question that I'm asking in my life on a day-to-day basis. And I find that interesting. And I really, the other day when I was on this call, I had the opportunity to create a change. And I totally didn't remember that I could ask a question. And we don't remember this, do we? And so what I want to ask you both is, how can we cultivate a skill for this?
You know, it's like when you go to the gym, you know, like people with six packs, right? They're not born with six packs. They do sit-ups and, you know, until those muscles actually come into play. I've been playing with these tools for like 12, 13 years. And I don't remember, it was a couple of years before I remembered to ask a question. So you can sort of, you know, put your alarm on your phone. Has an hour gone by and I have not asked a question? So what question could I ask in this hour? Like, give yourself the task, and you know what I mean? To exercise that muscle. And you start recognizing your energy. And you can call that spiritual if you want, your state of mind, your spiritual state, or whatever you want to call it. An energy that's around you, and an energy of the things that you encounter, that you run into. Is magic showing up? And if it's not, have I not asked a question? You know, I have to share this with you guys. I don't have to, but I will.
No, I would love for you to.
This is the image that I keep that's popping to me is of a doggy. You know how doggies are laying down on the floor all relaxed and everything, and they like may lift up an eye as you walk by. And then something happens where the doggy stands up, the ears are standing up, and they're listening. They're curious, they're looking, they're listening, they're vigilant. They're not moving, and then they might just go even lay back down. But that vigilance, that ears up, that listening, that's the energy of a question. Their antennas are up, and the question gets your antennas up. That's just what it's never come to me before. So that's something that the three of us together have brought to my awareness.
No, I like it. So I just was in Germany a couple days ago, and I taught the SC Extravaganza, which is a class I teach bodywork, and it's taught on bodies and on horses, bodywork on horses and people bodies. I taught it with the amazing Susie Godsey, and the horses have that energy too. It's really interesting when you come up to work on them. It's kind of like, what's possible here? What do you require? You ask the horse, energetic. You don't have to ask it out loud. You can, but you're just curious about what you can help or contribute to the horse. And once you ask the question, their eyes kind of open. They give you a look. Their ears pop up. Their body has this other way of being, and they're showing you what it is. And they also have that curiosity of, wonder what this person's going to. What's this person up to? Wonder what I could receive, or do I even want to receive? And some of them walk away the first few times, and then they hang out there. So they are a question. I mean, I think that a lot of animals kind of function from that. Like, what is this? What am I aware of here? And you see, like the dog analogy was great, Kass, because we've all seen a dog perk up like that, and then you look at him and go, "What are they looking at?" And they put you into a question. So you being a question actually inspires other people to be that. But what Kass was saying, we were taught this when we were kids. No one, in school we certainly weren't. Our parents probably weren't. So it is a muscle you build. The funnest thing for me is that, building the muscle creates more in my life, creates my life greater. So it always had this really great incentive to continue doing it, because when I did ask the question, things that weren't working, things that sucked, like some things that really sucked in my life, started to change, which before I had the question available to me would have never changed. I would have either just dealt with it, got angry, whatever it was like something, a solid obstacle I couldn't change. And when I was like, wow, what else is possible here? I've never considered just that simple question to change things with marriage that went bad, child support stuff back years ago. I've been about like 10, 12 years also like Kass. So
Wow.
I've had lots of life circumstances that have shown up where the question would change something, and I would just sit back and go, oh my God, there actually is other stuff possible than what we think is so solid in reality. When my kids use a question, magic has shown up for them. Things that in middle school where you think nothing can change with the girls and the meanness and simple questions in the morning. Okay, what would it take for all the kids to have fun with you today? Or what would it take to be the teacher's pet today? And have teachers change just from a question like that, giving, a 8-year-old or a 10-year-old that question in the morning and having them kind of smirk at me and go, oh, Mom, you're so silly, and having it change anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's miraculous if you use it.
I love asking questions. I mean, I have to say that, and I think you both know that I didn't wake up one day in 2003 and say, oh, I think I'm going to spend like hundreds of thousands of dollars for airtime so I could ask questions. I didn't do that. I dialed the wrong phone number, and the minute I got behind a mic and I got to sit next to somebody that I could honor and ask questions, a genuine curiosity, I had never experienced anything like that except for being in graduate school. And there is something about question asking that suits me, right?
Mm-hmm.
In doing this, what I like to do. And yet, even with that, Glenna, it wasn't until we started to talk about what I consider to be a different type of question. So let me ask you both this. There are different types of questions. And I think you touched upon it a little bit. But I don't know that many people really quite know that. Or let me ask you, maybe they're not. But at least for me, I learned different types of questions. Can you talk about that? Are there different types of questions? Or not?
You're so psychic that I love that. All I have to do is think something and then you start talking about it. That's cool. There are questions that actually already have the answer in them. They call it in law they call it leading the witness. Mm-hmm. So did you plan to kill them when you went to the house? Well, leading the witness. Also, why am I so stupid is a question. Why am I always doing this? Why am I? You know what I mean? These why questions are questions that don't really lead to something greater, to another question, to a possibility, to changing something. The why questions usually lead us in a circle like a dog chasing their tail. This is obviously my doggy day. Mm-hmm. It's a dog out there. So who's the dog that's waiting for me today? But a doggy chasing their tail, they think they're getting somewhere, but they're not actually getting anywhere, So those why questions do that. So that's one type of question, a question that A, doesn't lead to something greater. And B, it's the same thing really, that has intrinsically built into it, whether it's obvious or not, an answer. So as an answers, you just stop. Would you like to do anything this afternoon? No. Okay. Would you like to do anything this afternoon? Well, what could we do? That's different. That's another question. A question that leads to another question, or a question that leads to an answer. Mm-hmm. Can I just go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead. No, please.
I just wanted to say this. Thank you so much, Glenna, for the horse story. These kind of conversations sort of make me tear with joy, because that horse story and the doggy story and Pat's question about spiritual is what we're talking about all the same. Is it something that gets us back to our what we call in this reality spirit, like gets us out of our head. Is that what questions do? If we're willing to ask a question, like you asked to your kids, is it connecting with something that's greater than the mind, or that's something that's natural to us, that animalistic behavior? What do you call it? Or that more than animalistic behavior, the essence of us. Yeah. And is that what you're calling spiritual? Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, I had some early life experiences, and for lack of a better phrase, of a spiritual nature. Some people will call it religious, but the point is that they turn in to my language, creativity. See, this is the thing, this creative word right there. Because I have found in my own life, there are some questions that I ask that, yes or no, right? Yes or, hey, do you want to go to movies? Yes, yeah, right? And usually that's met with, are we going to go to one of your kind of movies like that? That usually comes back, that your kind of movies. And then I could say either a yes or no, or say, well, what would you like to go see, right? Some days it's really that simple. Yeah, you know what? It's going to be one of my kind of movies. We're going to go see Wonder Woman, okay? And some other days it's like, I would love to spend time with you. Movies is one option, but maybe there's another option. What else is possible? And I don't think we see that as an option in day-to-day living right there, that thing right there. I don't think we look at what else is possible as a tool in day-to-day living. I don't know. Glenna, what do you think?
Well, great question. Wonder Woman, my type of movie, by the way. We'll have to go see a movie someday, Pat, if I'm up to go.
Thank you.
Love those action-filled movies, and
I do
fun
too.
when ladies are in them. Yeah. Day to day, it's not how it's not what we see most of the time in day to day. But I can say that when you start building this muscle and you have it available, you start being a question. So those yes/no questions, when you ask them, the yeses and nos are more where you access the energy of whatever you're asking to do is going to create in your future. Or what is it? So, like, do you want to go to the movies? Like, I said that, hey, kids, do you want to go see Wonder Woman like a month ago? And the yes was, it was more than just going to watch the movie. It was creating my life. It was being creative. And I totally enjoyed the movie. It gave me all sorts of insights and inspired me for, the action-filled movies always have some inspiration for me. And a no would have been, that's not going to be creating anything tonight or maybe this week. I'm accessing the whole, like, my future and everything around me, because maybe I'm not going to movies because there is something else possible. So the yes/no questions are wonderful. And they start to become, should I go for a run today? What's that going to create? Should I not go for a run today? What's that going to create? I mean, you can do it with everything. Should I have a cup of coffee this morning? What will that create? Coffee, yes, no. And I am that way with most of my day, a lot of the time, even not cognitively knowing I am, but walking through my day now is a lot of yes, no, like that, right, left. Oh, right's greater. I'll go right. And driving can be that way, which is funny because you can be driving and you go, oh, I'm actually not going to go down this street today. I'm taking a right. From the question all the time of what's, like, if I'm going to this place, what's the greatest way to go? What's going to create the most? And then seeing the train come along the road that would have blocked me and sat me there for 5 minutes if I hadn't taken the right, and go, I'm always looking at my future. And how does it get even greater than that?
Well, what I love about it is I have found now in this dialogue, and we'll talk about this when we come back from break, is can the type of question we ask be a solution? What did she just say? Can the type of question we ask actually be the solution? And all of the above. there's a reason we're talking about this today. And I think one of the reasons is that folks, and I'm going to make a generalization. I don't do this, but I want to do it today. Folks in the energy seem to be right now in our country, in the United States, that there are questioning happen in a way that hasn't been done in decades and decades. I was talking to a woman, 84 years old on Sunday, was talking with me about this very topic. And she was saying, I just told my granddaughter, please start questioning everything. Please start doing that. And when we come back, I want to talk about that. But before we go to break, I want to just make sure, folks, Glenna, how can folks find out more about you and give us a sneak peek on what's up and coming, and then Kass, you as well?
So GlennaRice.com, so my website, easiest way to get me, and then for all my Access schedule classes, it's accessconsciousness.com/Dr. Glenna Rice. And Kass and I have something fabulous coming up. This weekend, I'm flying to New York in the morning. She's already there. We have a 3-day body class we're co-facilitating together, which I'm so excited about. And we also have 2 evening classes, which we're going to have live streams, so you can watch them anywhere on the planet you are. Kass is going to be doing, Kass, what's your, sorry.
I'm doing an evening adventure. It's called Being You with Money. It's based on the tools from Dr. Dane Heer's book, Being You, Changing the World. And so, yeah, it's fun. And
how can people watch?
They can watch. They can watch it live stream. They just have to sign up for the live stream class, KassThomas.com, KassThomas.com, or AccessConsciousness.com, and look me up. And that's both of our classes are on there. We've got another class that's on Saturday night at 7 to 9, and Glenna on Sunday is doing an introduction to this amazing class she and Susie Godsey do around the world. Go ahead, Glenna.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's called Essay Extravaganza and Intro. I love it.
Yeah.
I have a question for you both to think about. How does it get any better than that? Let's take a short break, everyone. We'll be right back. Dr. Glenna Rice, Kass Thomas, we've got much to talk about. I got a question for all of you listening. What's your question? What would you like to come and join us on air and ask today on the show? What's on your mind? 1-800-930-2819, or you can go to transformationtalkradio.com or the Dr. Pat Show, and right there on the right-hand side, you can type your question in right there. We're going to take a short break, everyone. We'll be right back.
Turn it up! Somebody save your soul, 'cause you've been sinning in the city. I know too many troubles, all these lovers got you losing control. You like a drug to me, a luxury.
How would you like increased health and vitality? How would you like to avoid the onset of disease as well as slow the aging process? This is all possible through a simple, safe, and natural process. Every day we are either moving toward wellness or away from wellness.
Hi, I'm Mary Jane Mack. I'd like to be your partner in achieving optimal health. Contact me now at maryjanemack.com or call 425-392-0659. Visit maryjanemack.com.
Tune in to The Truth is Funny with Colette Steffen each Wednesday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This hit show will have you thinking outside the box and riding the wave of infinite potential. Join Colette on the Higher Self Network, inspiring listeners to shine their brilliance and ensure success while roaring with laughter as they recognize the humor of the giant cosmic joke. Visit TheTruthIsFunny.com.
Miss any shows during the week? Don't worry, we've got you covered. With the free Transformation Talk Radio app, you'll have access to all of the past week's shows in the palm of your hand. Tune in to Transformation Talk Radio anywhere you go with our free app for any of your devices. Check out our app in the App Store and Google Play Store today.
Calling all moms, it's time to awaken your vibrant, intuitive, loving self in every area of your life. Join host Debbie Pokornik as she shares thoughts, stories, and tools to help you stand in your power. Listen to Vibrant, Powerful Moms helping everyday women create extraordinary lives. Mondays at 2:30 Pacific, 5:30 Eastern. For more information about Debbie, visit empoweringenergy.com. That's empowering with letters NRG.com.
Gifted intuitive healer and spiritual teacher Sarah Luce brings her unique style to the hit show Small Steps, Big Breakthrough Radio on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Tune in each month as Sarah turns reality on end and shows us how to experience expansive results with simple yet powerful steps. Expect an enlightening bend on what you currently believe is possible. For show details and upcoming topics, visit sarahluce.com. That's SARALOOS.com.
Brand consultant Jen Morgan is here with Radically Distinct Radio to help you take control of your future and maximize your brand's power to produce results. Whether you're an individual trying to reinvent yourself and launch a new venture, or you're an executive trying to reposition your company to modernize your sales and marketing programs, Jen Morgan and the RAD method empower you to play to your strengths and show up in the world as your most powerful brand. To learn more, go to jenmorgan.com. That's Jen with 2 N's Morgan.com, or call 206-972-5366.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. For those of you out there, what I love about this show today with Glenna and Kass is that, we're looking at questions. A question can empower. An answer can disempower. What do you think about that? If you're like me, do you have a scenario in your life right now where there might be a question that is waiting to be asked, which could change something? Is that possible? Do questions have that kind of power? That's what today's show about. Why ask a question? And one of my least favorite questions that I get, and maybe I can get some help from both of you, is the question why. I want to pull my hair out, right out of my head. I just want to do it. Now, clearly when a 9 or a 10-year-old asks me why, I have a little different response to that. But when, people that are close to me ask me why, it annoys me. Do you think I need therapy?
No, that's great. Well, Kass was talking about that a little bit before the break, about the why questions put you in defense a lot of the time. Like, why'd you do that? Yeah. Why are you doing that? That's the question that, like, if you're a kid, it's immediately like, oh, what did I do? Wrong here. And they're designed to do that. And there's the only time a why question actually is really helpful or can be is if you're in an argument with someone and they're not changing their point, it's just not going anywhere. Sometimes if you throw a why question, they'll start to just defend their point of view, and you can put them on a hamster wheel, and that'll shut them up, and you can end the conversation. But that's the only real time to ever use a why question is to get someone else to defend themselves, and so they can just blather on and keep going, and you don't have to continue with the conversation.
Well, that's brilliant, Glenna. That's brilliant. Wow. Because, the thing that about why is that it doesn't move forward. And what Glenn is saying is, so use it if you don't want to go forward.
Oh,
that's brilliant.
I love that.
That's so cool. And the thing about the why question also is that it, intrinsic in there is the, where do I point the finger? What is, who or what is at fault here? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so there's always the looking to blame. And usually, with humanoids, those people who are always changing in the question, we're looking to blame ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
or there's somewhere in ourselves that are to blame there. But I was just reflecting on, and I was listening to the music as we came back in from the break, which was like bumpa dumpa 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 dump dump dump, and then this lovely voice of Dr. Pat comes on, all spacious and possibilities like, and I'm like, why ask a question so that you can be that space and possibilities? Because we've been talking about asking questions, and look what the space it's created just in our conversation, you know? Awesome. So you don't have to ask questions. You could just talk about asking questions, and it works.
Here's the weird thing, right? For me, I am going to bring up table tennis, ping pong for a moment. I have two people that really want to help me get better, right? Actually, there are three that really want to help me get better. And they all have different opinions about what they want to change and how they want to change it. And I'm trying to speak with them about what they see, right? It's like, well, why do you want me to take a shorter stroke? So here I'm asking the why question. Why do you want me to take the shorter stroke? So I'm trying to find out, you would like me to do something differently. I'm not getting what's underneath that. It doesn't matter.
Well, it may matter. Yeah. Sorry, Glenna.
I love that you both answered that.
No, it may matter in that you might have a different target. Like, what do you know? I've been wanting to ask you that question a couple of times. Like, what is it that you know? Because they might want you to take a shorter stroke so that you can, somebody is not able to slam the ball at you. And you might say, oh, I'm great at responding to slam balls. So I don't want to take a shorter stroke because I actually want them to slam the ball so that I can pull out my number one. You know what I mean? So maybe so when someone asks, you know what I mean? If you're asking why, but you might actually be asking them, what is your target here with that shorter stroke? What is it that you are trying to get to you know what I mean? And and that's a question that will give you some additional information so that then you can make a choice whether or not a shorter stroke is what works for you. Is that helpful?
Well, it is helpful, and we run into situations like this 24/7. Why is my boss wanting me to do that way? I mean, let's just get down to the reality of how many times during a day we are pondering questions in almost everything we do, because isn't this really what's going on in our lives? Even though I'm not walking around saying, "Oh yeah, why do you want me to?" But in my mind, in this mind of mine, I'm trying to figure things out. I'm asking myself questions that maybe I'm not saying out loud, but I'm questioning things. So let's talk about questioning versus asking questions. See, are they the same or are they really different? Is the questioning part like a little judgmental thing that's showing up as like a question, but really is not? What do we think?
Yeah, the questioning thing is more like, you're up on the stand and the lawyer's asking you, is questioning you. It's the why questions that you defend or, stick yourself with something. Getting information about something is really different to get more clarity or to create something greater or more. You can, if a boss is making you do something you don't understand what it is, why are they asking you to do that? A question could be like, what are they trying to accomplish with this? What am I not understanding about this that would give me more clarity? What's their purpose here? I mean, that's something you can actually ask a boss or someone you're working with when you're really confused. It's like, okay, can you give me some clarity? I'm not understanding what is it you're trying to accomplish with this? And then they have to actually look at it also, because they may not really be clear on what they're doing. They may just be a boss likes to micromanage everybody. And this may give them an opening to see something different. Or you might just see, oh, this is a boss that's always going to tell me what to do. So what's it going to take to have you working here? Or what's it going to take to find another job?
Right, and you can always ask that. Well, you can always do it, cleverly, as they say. When someone asks you to do something, instead of asking them why, say, "Wow, I get you see something clearly, and I'm not really seeing it. Can you help me with that?" You know what I mean? And that's you're asking me to do that. It's so interesting. You obviously have a grasp on something that I'm missing. Can you help me with that? Where's that going to lead us? What's that gonna create? You know what I mean? Something like that.
Yeah.
And that's a question.
Right.
Right. And it might be true, or it might be no. I was just thinking. You're gonna get some information that will move things forward instead of going into defense on it.
Well, I got a question for you both. So the thing that I'm really struck by now, like we've been talking about this, and I don't know, maybe I'm picking up on it, energetically. I think there are, and boy, am I going to put myself on a limb right here. I think there are only two kinds of questions in the world. I could feel you, Glenna, right now. I feel this, but I'm going to do it. I think there are only two kinds. I think there are fear-based questions and faith-based questions. And I don't mean faith in religious. That is not what I'm saying. Fear-based and faith-based. And so what do I mean by that? Well, Pat, what are you saying? Well, a fear-based question is me trying to ask questions because I'm so scared to death that I'm in search of some reality that will help take away my pain of fear. That's my 2 cents on that. The other one, I don't know where faith-based came from. I just made that up for a moment. Then the faith-based thing is I believe in possibilities. So my questions are going to fit in that arena. Tell me, what do you think? I'd like to hear what you think. And please, I can take feedback really well. Glenna will tell you how many times I've said stuff that are like, what did she say? But that's me. I just want to talk about that right there for a minute.
Well, so fear, once you're functioning from fear, you're functioning from what we call in the axis, is a distractor implant.
A what?
Fear is a distractor. It distracts you from awareness.
Okay.
So you're not being aware. There's actually, fear is so not real. I don't think I have had fear in my life or my reality for 10, 12 years. Really.
Wow.
It's not an energy that I even have. I can have energies that I would have called fear, and now it's like, I ask a question. What's that? What am I not being aware of? Is there actually something to be concerned? And being a mother, and my youngest was a year old when I started doing this work, fear is a big thing mothers function from. It was not there with me raising the kids. So they didn't actually get it either. I was always just aware of situations. Are they going to be safe doing that? So when you have the energy of fear, that's where being a question is just almost imperative. To get what you're aware of, you can actually know what is being created. That you may need to, maybe it is something that's unsafe. Maybe there is something in the future that you need to be aware of that's not going to work for you. But when you go to fear, you never can access the awareness of it. So it's like all the distractor influence of fear that are creating the limitations in your life that you guys like to destroy and uncreate all of those. I don't do clearings on this call very much, but everything that is, right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pop, all nine shorts, boys and beyond.
Cool. Yeah.
Do you want to add to that, Kass? Maybe.
Well, I just want to say when she said that, it was so foreign to me. I was like, did I wander off and I missed a part of the conversation that it came up as fear-based and faith-based? I was like, wow, that's interesting. I wrote it in our little...
Well, you know where it came from? It came from the horse story. When Glenna was talking about the horse.
Mm-hmm.
And, because I wrote as a kid, I loved horses, totally obsessed, even to this day. And I remember one of my mentors saying to me, talking about horses, and she never understood, like we would be out in the high desert of California and these wild horses, and I would be walking towards the horses and everybody be screaming at me. Of course, you can't hear people up at that 8,000 feet, right? And everybody's screaming like, don't go, don't do. And I'm just walking. I'm walking to the horses because I want to walk to the wild horses and pet them. And it walked to the horses, said hello, turn around, walk back. And one of the, what I don't know what they were called, leads said to me, do you know how at risk you were? And I said, do I know how? I said, obviously not. Blah, 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 wild horses. I said, you know what? That's not my experience. So that's what triggered my question, because I didn't have a fear-based perspective. Her question, though, to me was totally fear-based.
Well, there's also, I mean, it's what we were saying before. Also, there is the response already in the question.
Yeah.
Right. So do you know how dangerous that was? There's already the response that it was dangerous. So I call those second floor questions.
There you go.
You know? The second floor question is, do you know how stupid you are? Or do you know how fear, how dangerous it is? The first floor question is it dangerous?
Yeah.
Is it stupid? That's the first floor. We call it the ground floor, but in Italy. But
yeah, or if I was the counselor on that, it'd be is young Pat going to be okay walking after the horses? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yeah.
And you were. That would have been a yes. And I would have, I would have been really aware and allowed you to be that with the horses.
Right. So, and that faith-based, and I like it. I like it. That faith-based is about the trusting in the universe.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was so much lighter. When you said fear-based, that was like so heavy because it doesn't seem like your reality. It's not. It was so light. Glenna, did I tell the story about you and Roisin on here last time?
I don't recall.
I don't remember you doing that. Are you going to tell it now?
I'm going to tell it quickly now.
Okay, good. Thank you.
But it's fear-based and faith-based. It's perfect for that. About 10 years ago, I don't remember, something like that, I'm walking down the street in Ireland, as you do, with Glenna, and her girl, who's, about 6 or 7 at the time, is walking like almost a block ahead of us. And Glenna's going on, and I'm looking at her and talking to her. She's, got a captivating look and conversation, but I keep looking forward, too, at the little girl, who's Roisin, who's walking ahead. And so she obviously, Glenna, picks up on my, fear, let's say, and so response, answer, right? And she said to me, don't worry, I've asked the question and checked in on her, and she does not want to die today. And what she was approaching a street, and what was in my mind, not awareness, in my mind, was the answer. You do not let a 7-year-old walk to the corner and get ready to cross the street without us being close, or 6-year-old, I don't remember. And the faith-based question, and with your vernacular, right, that you're just using, I know it's not yours, was I checked in with the universe. I asked a question. My child is not in danger. And I just laughed because, of course, we were at a class, right? So, and I don't know if you get that. It's a different way than I've told it in the past. But the fear-based, how much does that cut off our awareness, and so that we can't tap into the faith in the universe that we, if we were willing to have it, would just make everything possible.
What you didn't tell Kass, the best part of the story is when Roisin, right after I said that, turned around and looked right at you and kind of winked.
I turned around, the little girl, as I relaxed with the awareness that, okay, she's tapped in, she's asked the question, and I got the energy that she turned around and winked at me, and I just shook my head with a smile and said, okay, it's a faith-based question. So I like that you said that, actually. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I realized that I am asking, I have somebody, a friend of mine, and I realized in listening to this that I am asking fear-based, the same fear-based question every day. So the question that I'm asking every day is, have you done your spray today? And what is the spray? There's this naturopathic spray that assists with people that may have chronic Lyme disease, but, may just, have a few things going on. So here I go. I get this spray for her. And so you get the spray And it's like, okay, she's not really using the spray. But every day, twice a day, I ask, did you do your spray today? And so I'm now looking at that and thinking, yeah, that's my fear. That's my fear that there's something going on to somebody that I love. And even though intuitively I may be right, I don't think I'm doing it any good. I think that every time I ask, did you take it? It's just not going to matter. But that's what I mean by a fear-based question, because my fear is generating the question. See, my fear is generating the question.
Is that true?
So can I kind of? Yeah,
that is true. That was like a true thing for me right there. Well, I don't know if it's true, but it feels true.
Well, it's like, so fear is, like I was saying, it's there's something you're not aware of when you're doing fear, or you're not willing to be aware of. So it could be simply to ask, have you asked your body today if it would like to spray? Because it's for the body.
I like that.
The body has to be the one that asks, and the body can say no and yes, because it knows. See, the question empowers, and it accesses what you know. The bodies have so much wisdom and knowledge that we don't usually ask them about, just like we rarely ask kids what they know. So if you ask the body, hey, does your body want to use spray today? There'll be an energy that you're aware of. That'll be a yes or a no. And then it's actually going to work a lot better. She may need it more than twice a day. She may not need it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you empower them to get that sort of response. I love English because we've got a difference. An answer is not the same as a response, you know? So, if have you asked your body today if it'd like the spray, or would your body like the spray today? And you get feeling of light and harmony and expansion and faith with that. But you can also share that awareness, or share how to do that with the person you're asking, so that they don't just have that answer and response today, they can have it for the rest of their lives.
And the reason I brought it up, and you're right, I mean, this hour goes really, really quickly. The reason I brought it up is because there are, in our day, we are bombarded with information, with news. It doesn't matter what it is, and we get to show up at a cross point, I call it. And it's the cross point by, am I going to believe A, B, C, D, or am I going to go to what's possible? And that's what I mean by fear-based question. There's some fear going on in me that's going to cause me a question so I could feel better. And in the end, I don't really feel better, because one thing that I know you can't control is the way somebody answers that question.
No, you cannot control other people as much as we would like to. It never works out very well. We don't like to be controlled, and people don't like us to try to control them. So questions are a much greater way to create change when you're working with people, because they aren't controlling. They're opening up possibilities.
Wow.
What
a great show. I mean, what we're talking about here today is all of us energetically are exploring something that we didn't think that we were going to explore earlier today. And I think because we asked ourselves a question about opening to this, that's what shows up. I love you both. You're awesome. Can you please, I know we only have a couple of minutes left, please tell folks how they can find out more about you, your classes, and quickly your personal message. And thank you so much for the show today.
So
Great,
thank you. GlennaRice.com. No, go to accessconscious.com / Dr. Glenna Rice to find the information on the classes Kass and I are doing this weekend. And I think Kass's would be accessconscious.com / Kass Thomas. To find her, to sign up for her class that she's doing this weekend in New York, Being You with Money, and I'm doing an introduction to Effie. And anything else? KassThomas.com, GlennaRice.com.
No, I think we're good. Just quickly, personal message. What would you like to leave every one of us with here today?
What could you choose that you cannot even see as a possibility?
Oh, that's good. Kass, how about you?
Yeah, what question can you ask that would open up a world of possibilities, not only for you, but for everyone you encounter? And
I love it.
How much fun could your life be?
I love it. Thank you both for today. Thank you so very much. Wow, what a great show.
Lovely energy. Thank you so much. Have a fabulous weekend, and come to New York. Join us.
Exactly.
Bye,
I thought I was going to break out with Alicia Keys and Jay-Z's New York song. That right there, it came to mind. Thank you, Benny.
Come on, you were too psychic. Stop
I
that.
know. I was just right there with that.
That's what dreams are made of.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Now I'm salivating over a hot dog. That's what's going on right here. Thank you, everyone. Benny, thank you for pushing all the right buttons. And remember, everyone, we've got another hour coming up on Transformation Talk Radio. Stay tuned.
The preceding audio was via a Skype call.